Witajcie. Jest godzina 10, w zasadzie punkt 10, jesteśmy punktualnie, zatem już czas zacząć naszą kolejną wirtualną podróż. Zgodnie z zapowiedziami, obietnicami, zaplanowanym wydarzeniem zapraszamy Was dzisiaj do niezwykle ciekawego kierunku, jakim jest niewątpliwie Kenia. Na wstępie oczywiście chciałabym się upewnić, że nas widzicie, że mnie słyszycie, także bardzo Was proszę o jakiś krótki komentarz, że wszystko jest ok technicznie. Wystarczy ok, słychać, jest w porządku. Chwilkę poczekamy na te Wasze komentarze, ponieważ zawsze do nas napływają z opóźnieniem, a widzę, że już ktoś się podłączył, kilka osób już się podłączyło do naszego spotkania, także bardzo Was proszę o krótki komentarz, że wszystko jest ok technicznie i że nas widać i że mnie słychać, ponieważ jeszcze mój gość nic nie mówi. Także bardzo Was proszę, dajcie znać, że jest ok. I will say also in English because I'm not sure if everybody who watch us speak Polish. So please give us small comment that everything is okay with the view, with the voice. So we want to avoid any technical problems. Please give us some comment. Wszystko jest super. Ok, czyli jest w porządku, możemy zaczynać. Ja nazywam się Elwira Urbańczyk i reprezentuję firmę Make Break, w której zajmujemy się przygotowywaniem wyjazdów szytych na miarę, zarówno dla klientów indywidualnych, jak i klientów firmowych w postaci motywacyjnych wyjazdów firmowych. Przygotowujemy także różnego rodzaju konferencje i eventy, także w formule online. Zaprosiłam Was na kolejne wirtualne podróże, a co to są te wirtualne podróże? To tak krótki wstęp dla osób, które jeszcze nie brały w nich udziału. Jest to spotkanie na żywo, w trakcie którego zabieramy Was do różnych zakątków świata. Na żywo nasz gość opowiada o danym kierunku, ale także kawałek tego miejsca pokazuje. Spotkanie trwa około godziny zazwyczaj, więc nie jesteśmy w stanie Wam pokazać oczywiście całego kraju, o którym opowiadamy, natomiast mamy nadzieję, że to Was zainspiruje do podróży właśnie do tego kierunku. A teraz serdecznie chciałabym przedstawić Wam mojego dzisiejszego gościa, którego już tu widzicie, i spotkanie będzie w języku angielskim. Hello, Melinda. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And I
Great.
see that you should be also good with this beautiful weather and the view behind you.
It's a beautiful part of Kenya down here. We're located in Wirtualne, which is a national marine park. So it's a beautiful protected area with fantastic white sand beach. And believe it or not, this is our winter. So welcome to Kenya.
Yeah, I wanted to mention about that we already discussed that this is the winter and this will be my dream to have the winter like this, not with snow and it's
Sorry,
minus.
you're going in and out a little bit. If you
Okay.
can hear me, my name is
O. No cóż, chyba...
Can you hear me again now?
Yeah, now we hear you because it was like 2 seconds without the connection. I don't know why.
Dropped out for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my name is Melinda Rees, and I have been lucky enough to have lived and worked here in Kenya now for the last 30 years. I'm currently the general manager of the hotel where I'm sitting, which is Hemingway's Watamu. And I'm happy to tell you a little bit about this beautiful country.
Yeah, the location of the hotel is really good, but I know that also the property where you are working is also really amazing place and it's definitely worth to go there and stay.
Definitely. We have 3 lovely small boutique hotels around Kenya. One here on the coast in the National Marine Park here, one in the Masai Mara, and then one in Nairobi. And they're very nice 5-star luxury resorts.
You say that you live in Kenya for 30 years, so it's a long time of your life, I suppose.
This is home. Yes.
This is your home.
Yeah, this is home. I moved here on a 2-year contract and fell in love with the country and basically never left. So it's beautiful. There's so much to see here and to do here. there's something here for everybody. We've got from tropical beach all the way up to alpine tundra on the top of Mount Kenya. So if you name a client or a climate or an activity, we can do it somewhere in Kenya.
I can totally agree with you, because Kenya is really deep in my heart. I've been there already twice, and I really love the destination, and I recommend everybody to go there, and I think they will fall in love. And you won't be bored even if you will go there a second or third time for your holiday, for sure.
No, I mean, even after 30 years, I'm still finding new places to visit and new things to see. There's 52 different tribes in Kenya, and they've all got different cultures and different things to explore. So there's always new cultural experiences. And then there's all of the fantastic animal wildlife as well. And it never gets boring. You know, I don't mind if it's the 50th time you've seen an elephant playing in the river with its calf. It's still just the most magical thing to watch.
You say that there is 52 tribes, so I was thinking that less, to be honest. So it's a lot. And
some of them are quite large.
Mm-hmm.
We have some like the Kikuyu, which is the biggest, has nearly 5 million people. But then you go down to one of the really tiny tribes like the El Molo, which are up in the north near Lake Turkana, and there's less than 1,000 of them.
It's nice. And are they only located close to some national parks, or it's not like this, that they are like on whole
Yes,
Kenya?
it depends. Basically, original national parks in Kenya were made so that they were in areas that were not being farmed. So they're mostly pastoral. And obviously, as the population has grown, you do now have more people living closer to the parks, which makes it easier to combine a safari with a cultural experience. But some of the tribes are very isolated, especially if you get way up in the north.
So it's definitely hard to meet with them, yeah. But they don't want meet with tourists.
It's not so much. Yeah, it's not so much that they don't want. It's that there's, and for example, the El Molo tribe, the really tiny one that's up near Lake Turkana. The reason there is it's such a small tribe is because life is so challenging in that area. It's basically a desert, and they have survived on just fishing. And there's very little to encourage someone to go and visit up there. So a tribe like that is a challenge. Whereas if you have a tribe like the Maasai, which I think are probably the most famous, it's very easy to visit them, and they are extremely welcoming, and they like to have people come and visit.
It's true. I think part of them they used to that tourists or people come there and want to meet with them, spend some time and see how they live. Yeah, the Maasais.
Yes, exactly. And I would say for me, although it's a beautiful, beautiful country and the wildlife is fabulous, the thing that gets in your heart here in Kenya is how genuinely friendly and welcoming the people are. It's a part of their culture to be friendly, and that's what gets people coming back.
I can totally agree with you. And can you say something general about the country? You already say that about the people, that they are really friendly, and it's definitely worth to go to Kenya, but maybe some historical facts or some general information about the country where you are living.
Okay, well, Kenya is, to give you an idea, it's a little bit larger than France. We have about 51 million people spread out over that area. And as I said briefly earlier, because we're right on the equator, so the equator runs through the middle of the country, but so we're technically counted as a tropical country, but because we've got altitude as you go inland, you have an incredible variety of climates. And if you go up to the central capital city of Nairobi, you are around 1,900 meters high. And so if you're in the sunshine, it's warm, but if you're inside or at nighttime in the winter, you actually are very to have a fire. So you've got an incredible variety in Kenya. We've got everything from deserts up in the north to incredibly fertile farmland around Mount Kenya and around Lake Victoria. There's a huge amount to see and do. You're very based outdoors when you're in Kenya, so you're doing a lot of things outdoors. You're outside most of the time, sitting outside. It's a very active country, so there is a huge amount of activities to do: mountain climbing, whitewater rafting, fishing, diving, snorkeling, kite surfing, safaris, obviously. It's a very, very versatile country with a lot of ground to cover and a lot of different places that you can go and see.
I can totally agree. I remember when I was first time in Kenya, and sometimes people from Europe imagine, oh, I'm going to Africa, it will be extremely hot, and you need to prepare for the hot weather. And I remember when I landed in Nairobi and I realized that it's cold here, and it was like
exactly.
in September, and it was really early morning.
Same time now, it's spring for us. It will be in the Masai Mara at the moment, in the nighttime, it will be only about 9 degrees.
Yeah,
and if you're in an open safari vehicle with the wind, it feels a lot colder.
Yeah, and I were in Masai Mara in that time because this was also time for great migration. So I planned to go to Masai Mara.
That's right.
I stand in not in the lodge but in the tents. So I remember that during
then
the
it's
night
even colder.
Was really, really cold.
I bet you need the hot water bottle and you need lots of blankets.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully
Definitely.
I got it.
That's
but I remember
definitely something to remember. If you come for the wildebeest migration, which is late June to maybe the end of September, that is our winter. So it's a wonderful time to come because it will be maybe 24, 25 in the middle of the day, but it will go down to 8 or 9 degrees at night. So bring your jackets.
Yeah, that's true. And I remember when I came back to Poland and I talked with the friends that I were in Kenya and was called, it's impossible, you were in Africa, it should be. I said, no, Africa, it's not the hottest, in my opinion, hottest part of the world. I think in Asia can be more hot than in Africa, but
yes,
of course, depends of the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like imagination.
I think it is... a lot of people arrive thinking that it's hot all the time and everywhere, and that's not correct.
That's not. So for my second time, I was prepared for it, and of course, I know how to prepare my clients when they go to Kenya as well.
Yes.
So you say that the Wild-West migration is from the end of the July, yeah? Till the end of September?
Well, it can start as early as the end of June. So you will have the first herds will start crossing the Sand River, which is the shallow river, in late June, early July. And then they're crossing the big main river, the Mara River, later, so in August, September time. It can be as early as the beginning of June, and it can go as late as the middle of October. But August, early September is the best time to guarantee that you'll see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because this time I think it's one of the best to visit Mara, to see a lot of animals there. What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think about the other months of the year? Is it worth to go to Mara?
Well, Basically, the only thing that is different in the Mara in July, August, September is the actual wildebeest migration. All of the other animals are there all year. So basically, the only time I would suggest that you are careful about where you go is in the long rains, which is normally late April and May. And that's when you can pretty much be sure that you'll get rain every morning. And then some of the areas which have what we call black cotton soil, which is a very thick, dark clay type soil. If it's heavy rains, some of those areas are very difficult to drive in. So you're limited in where you can go at that time of year. But the rest of the year, you can come and you can see everything. None of the big cats migrate, the elephants don't migrate. It's only the wildebeest and some of the zebra. So except for April, May, I would say there is no bad time to come.
Mm-hmm. Is it Masai Mara your favorite park, or you have also other parks that you can recommend?
I also really like the Laikipia area, which is the area just north of Nanyuki and around the Mount Kenya area. It's semi-arid, so it can be a little bit more difficult to find the wildlife, although it's all there. But it's really, really beautiful country. It's very open with sort of rocky outcrops and beautiful hills in the distance. And it's a lot less visited, so which I find helps a lot. You can have it more to yourself.
And as I understand, that to go to the coast of Kenya, where you are based, it's for a whole year. They are not months that we should avoid to go, or they are some rainy season or something like that.
It's the same thing. Everywhere in the country gets the rain in April, May. Mm-hmm. So we will get rain down here, but it's still 24 degrees centigrade. So it's not ever cold. And it is very seldom that it rains all day. It normally rains in the morning, and by the time you get to 11 o'clock, it's nice. And then you have a nice afternoon and a nice evening. But it will be windy. So, I mean, if you like to kite surf or windsurf, it's the best time to come. But if you're coming for a beach sunbathing holiday, then maybe don't come in May.
Okay, so avoid April and May, but whole other months we can travel to Kenya and we'll find for sure.
Then come, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Melinda, often when my clients come to me, they want to go somewhere for holiday. So they have limited time, and often it's around 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Can you recommend some places for this time, that what people can do for 2 weeks in Kenya?
Okay, I guess it would, what you would do in the 2 weeks, I think I would make a difference between whether you have young children or whether you have older children, or if you're all adults. If you've got kids who are less than 10, then I would suggest maybe doing a shorter safari and just do 3 or 4 nights in the Mara. And that's the place where you have the best chance of seeing the most things in a small amount of time. And then I would come down to the beach, because there's lots of good activities for the parents to do down here: windsurfing, kite surfing, snorkeling, diving, fishing, dhow cruises, and just walking and playing on the beach. And the kids will be happy because they've got a beach and they've got swimming pools. So I would sort of suggest doing that for the next 10 days for a family with young kids. If you're only adults or you've got older kids, then I would suggest doing more of a mixture and doing a longer safari, and maybe going to 2 different places or maybe even 3 different places on safari, and then just having 4 or 5 nights on the coast to relax and recuperate afterwards. One of the things I would suggest is that even if you fly rather than drive in between places here in Kenya, things always take longer. It's a much bigger country than people think it is. Don't try and fit in too much. If you've got 7 nights on safari, I would really suggest that you go to only 2 places if possible. So maybe 3 nights in Laikipia and 4 nights in the Mara, or 3 places at absolute maximum, because otherwise you're spending too much time traveling in between places instead of enjoying the actual places.
Yeah, that's true. That is good suggestion. And how you recommend to travel inside Kenya? By buses? You have buses, trains? We can rent a car, and you have also planes.
Yes, it to a certain extent it depends where you're going, and it can be quite nice to do a mixture. So, for example, if you're going just to the Mara, I would suggest maybe driving one way, so you could land in Nairobi and then drive to the Mara one way, just so that you see what the countryside and what you go through. So you would drive down through into the Great Rift Valley, and then up the Narok Escarpment and into the Masai Mara. And that will take you probably about 4.5 hours. So a morning you'd get to your camp or lodge by lunchtime, but there's no need to drive back on the same road. So coming back, I would suggest that you fly back. And that's a nice mix. You get to see the country and you don't spend too much time doing the same thing. I would suggest that people, unless they've got lots of time, don't use the public transport. It can be quite crowded, and it's reliable in the sense that you will get there, but it will take a long time. So I would suggest always getting a private vehicle with a driver guide if possible. It's much easier if someone else is driving who knows the way and who can help if you have a flat tire or if you get lost. Some of the signposts are not as well signposted as they would be in Europe, for example.
Yes, that's true. And the traffic jam, I remember when I was in Nairobi and Mombasa, and I'd never seen before the traffic as much as I saw there during the rush
Exactly.
hours.
And a lot of people don't follow the rules. So you can be in a traffic jam with 3 lanes going one way and 3 lanes going the other way, but they're not all together.
Yeah, that's true. And for example, I'm based in Warsaw, in capital city of Poland, and we have also here traffic. But during the rush hour, I can say that the rush hours are like around from 8 a.m. till 9:30, and after 3 or 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. But I remember that in Nairobi, the traffic is starting from 5 a.m. and it's end of 10 p.m. almost. Rush hour whole day.
Exactly. Yes, very much so. It is starting to get better because they're slowly building more bypasses and wider roads. But a lot of Nairobi is still an old town that was not designed for the amount of traffic and cars that we have now, and they still have narrow roads.
So this is why it's good to consider to take a driver who will know the roads and can predict how much time you need to get to the airport, to get to some places where you should be on the right hour. Yeah, I totally agree with
it
you.
also helps because all of the driver guides are in communication with each other. And so if there's an accident or a problem on one road, then they normally tell each other, and then they can make plans to take you on a different route, which if you're driving yourself, you would never know.
Yeah. Can you say something general about culture? What is culture in Kenya? Maybe some festival they are during the year that we can come and see, or some other facts from the Kenyan culture.
There's a big music festival that they organize in Lamu, which is on the north coast of Kenya, and that happens most years in October. But otherwise, the festivals and the cultural activity tend to be smaller scale and in individual areas. So, for example, in the Masai Mara, you could find a clan of the Masai or one of the tribal groups would have a kujera maybe once a month. And there's not necessarily any planned time because it tends to be built around a big event in one of the clan's families. So if a chief's son is getting married, for example, everybody in the entire area will be invited. And if your camp is in that area, then you would be very welcome to take your guests to that wedding. That's what that basically for me is the biggest thing culturally wise, is just you are always welcome to join anything anyone is doing. But it's a little bit difficult to plan to go to something specifically because you don't necessarily know when it's going to be.
So Kenyans are really open that they can invite the people that they don't know to their wedding or to other.
Yes, it really is. It's quite unbelievable how welcoming people are here, and they're very proud of their culture, and they're very, very happy to show it off.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends from Kenya. They live there, of course. One of my friends is based in Mombasa, the second one in Nairobi. And last time when I were in Kenya, they invite me to their home to stay with them a couple of days. So I remember that family was very open, and they told me, "Why you come here for a short time? You should come here for 1 week or more and stay with us." So
yes,
we are really, really open for it. It's really nice.
it really is. It's not just in the hospitality industry either. You know, I've lived here for over 30 years, and sometimes you get a flat tire or your car breaks down and you're in the middle of what seems like nowhere and you don't know anyone. And those people who are in that area that you've never met before and will never meet again will do whatever they can to help. So it's not just something that you get in trained staff in a hotel. It's a part of the culture.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Do you want to something add about the culture things?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you want to add something more about the culture of Kenya? Or you already said everything?
I guess the two main things is there's two very different cultures in Kenya. There's one which is based around the pastoral tribes, so the tribes which are nomadic and have cows and goats and sheep. And then there's the other tribes which are farming tribes in around the Mount Kenya area and around the Lake Victoria area. So it's two very, very different tribal cultures. One is obviously they're farmers, so they tend to have more culture based around things that they can actually keep because they're not moving all the time. So they developed more musical traditions, for example, because they could have drums and not have to carry them if they move because they don't move. They have a much more wide-ranging cuisine because they are able to farm different things at different times of year. Whereas when you go to the pastoral tribes like the Maasai or the Samburu, they move every 3 months. So they build small temporary houses just to sleep in, and then they have to pick up everything they own to new grazing grounds. So their culture is much more based around things like jewelry that they can wear and easily carry when they move. They don't have really traditional houses. They don't have anything would require a lot of carrying. So it's quite interesting, the difference between the two.
it was something cut with your voice, but I think that we understand almost everything. I wanted to ask, yeah, I wanted to ask also about the cuisine. You start talking about the cuisine, and what are the meals that we should try when we come to Kenya?
Okay. Again, there's not a huge cuisine here because most people traditionally were subsistence level farmers. So you eat what you can grow, but there are a couple of traditional things. On the coast, it's fish with coconut, or any of the seafood with a wonderful coconut sauce. So we have fantastic crab here. So if you have crab with a coconut sauce or fish with a coconut sauce, that's very traditional here on the coast. If you go inland, the real tradition is something called nyama choma, which literally means burnt meat. And it's how people traditionally will eat their meat here is it's always on a barbecue with various spices, a lot of chili sometimes, so it can be a little bit hot, but it would be burnt meat, and traditionally you would eat that with the most popular green vegetable here is spinach. So you would have spinach cooked up with some tomato and onion. And the main traditional starch here is something called ugali, which is made from maize flour. And it looks a little bit like polenta, and it doesn't have a huge flavor, but it's very filling. And then one of my favorite things is a bean stew that they do here. And again, that's very, very traditional. And you can make it with anything you like. On the coast, they put coconut milk in again. If you're up country, they tend to put corn. You'll always have some potatoes and some tomatoes and onions in it. But that is delicious. And if you pour the bean stew over the top of the ugali, then you have a great meal.
Yeah, and I also observed that a lot of people like barbecue in Kenya, and I also saw that there is a lot of Indian cuisine, especially on the south.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. If you go back to the colonial time in the early 1900s, when the British were here and were building a railway from the coast, Mombasa, up to Nairobi, at that time there was nobody in Kenya who knew how to build railways, but they did in India. So the British brought quite a lot of Indian workers to Kenya to help build the railway. And then quite a lot of them decided, like all of us, they fell in love with Kenya and they decided to stay. And they brought their food and their spices with them. So especially on a Sunday lunch, it's quite traditional to go out for a Sunday curry lunch.
But it's more popular on the south or in the whole Kenya? What do you think?
It's more popular in the towns and cities. The Indian community don't really tend to live out in the serious wilderness. So you tend to get more of the curries in the towns.
Are there any community from other countries? So you can say that Kenya is like a multicultural country?
Yes, very much so. It has become, because it is stable and very safe, it's actually the headquarters for most of the United Nations for anything other than North Africa or South Africa. All of the big UN agencies, all of the big embassies, all of the big press groups are all based in Kenya. So you've got every culture here under the sun, and you can go to, in Nairobi in particular, if you name me a country, I can promise you there's a restaurant from that country in Nairobi. So it's very multicultural. We get visitors from all over Europe and all over the States, and quite a lot from Central America now, as well as from Asia. So it's growing all the time.
I am wondering now if in Nairobi there is any Polish restaurant, or we should come and open.
I'm pretty sure there is.
Really?
I've had Polish guests come down here. They work in Polish embassy in Nairobi. I'm sure there's a Polish restaurant there somewhere.
So, but when I travel, or my clients travel, I recommend them that they should check the local cuisine and try the local cuisine, not looking for the international one, because it's like when you can
I agree
go somewhere,
entirely.
yeah, you can learn something
agree.
about the
You can
country.
Yes, and you can eat your own food when you're at home.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Definitely.
true. But if, for sure, if somebody lives in the country, sometimes they want to change the cuisine because they can be a little worried of the local cuisine because they used to it and they used to also previous to
Yes.
their own cuisine. Yeah. So I think this is the
It's
reason.
very nice to have the choice.
Yeah, that's true. And I wanted to ask you also, because we were talking about the schedule for the families, the schedule for the private guests, but I also do some incentive trips for the companies, and often some people from the companies watched our virtual trip. So I wanted to ask you which schedule you can propose for the companies when they travel for like 7 days, 6 days. They have limited time.
Okay. I would suggest that you can actually do more or less the same itinerary, in sense do a combination of safari and beach, but you just make it shorter. So maybe do a 2-night safari. I would never do less than 2 nights, and if you can do 3, it would be better. And then you do 2 or 3 nights on the coast as the relaxation afterwards. If you're doing an incentive trip, then it's normally a reward for doing well. So that would let you spoil them. You can do your wildlife viewing for 2 or 3 nights. And then if you come to a place on the coast, they can relax, they can get a little bit of sunshine, maybe go to one of the spas in the area and have good massages and body treatments. That would be a very nice 1-week itinerary.
Which park you recommend for the incentive trip, or it doesn't matter?
Most of the larger hotels on the coast have their own small spas with their own therapists, so you don't have to necessarily leave the hotel to go to a spa. There are certainly in this area here in Watamu, there are also 2 independent spas, which are extremely nice and can be recommended to clients if they wanted to go a little bit further out of the hotel.
But I was asking about the parks. Which park you recommend for incentive?
Oh, sorry, the park.
Yeah, it's windy, so you can understand something else.
Sorry. My favorite national parks, obviously, especially if you have a short trip, the Masai Mara. It's the richest ecosystem in Kenya, and so you have the best chance of seeing the most in a small amount of time. If you're coming to the coast and you're spending most of the time on the beach, then I would recommend Savo East or Savo West, which is close. It's a very easy drive. From Watamu to Savo East is less than 2 hours driving, easy drive. If you're flying into Nairobi, then I would recommend maybe going to Meru or Samburu up in the Laikipia area, or going to one of the very many private conservancies in that area, like Polpejita or Solio or Lewa Downs, which do the rhino breeding in particular. And that's really interesting to go and see the rhinos in those private conservancies. So those would be the 3 main areas I would recommend. The Savos on the coast, Masai Mara, and the Laikipia area in the north.
Yeah, I've been on the north, so I were also in the park with a lot of rhinos. I remember that when I were in Masai
Yes.
Mara, it's a huge national park. So we need to consider that it's natural. So we cannot say to clients, yes, for sure, you will see the big five, because we never know. It's natural. So when I were
Yeah,
in
you
Masai,
never know.
yeah, when I were in Masai Mara, I cannot see the rhinos because there wasn't any. Yeah. So next time when I come to Kenya, I would like to see the rhinos, because I never see the rhinos. So we went to this park, and it was like 100 rhinos. I don't know, it was a lot.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I'm sure you must have gone to either Lewa or Solio or Alpejita, because those are the
Solio.
big places
Yeah.
for rhino.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do something in the northern part of Kenya, in that area, and the Mara, then you have a good chance of seeing all of the big five.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. But no, you can never guarantee it. They're wild.
They're wild, yeah. But this is, for me, this is the good thing. You are not taking clients to the zoo, which are in some cities, but
Exactly.
it's natural. You cannot predict, even if you cannot predict the weather as well. So the animals, if they
No,
will
exactly.
be there or not, yeah. But this is
For
the good
me, it's
thing.
one of the pleasure is the fact that you don't know what you're going to see, and you don't know if you are going to see it. It makes everything you find fun. When you do find it, you're really pleased. It's the challenge. It's nice to actually have to look and find them in their own area. We're going to their house instead of them coming to our house.
This is why that was good that you recommend go to two parks, because this is more possibility to see more animals which you cannot see in the first one, for
Yes,
example. I remember when
exactly. Yeah,
I
if
was
you have the
talking,
time, then do two.
yeah, yeah, you need to have time for
Yeah.
sure. But it's good also that you say that at least you should have 2 nights in a park, because you need to think that you
Yes.
need to get to the park, and it's like sometimes in the middle of nowhere, so you need a lot of time to get inside the park. So if you will stay there only for 1 night, you don't have enough time to see the animals even.
Exactly. Basically, if you're driving, for example, if you leave Nairobi and drive to the Mara, it's going to take you 4.5, 5 hours. So you get there, you have lunch, and then you go out on an evening game drive at 4 o'clock when it starts to get cooler and the animals are moving around. And then you come back to your tent. It's dark by 7:15 at the latest. You have dinner, you sleep. If you're leaving the next day, that means you've spent 5 hours driving for only one game drive.
Yeah,
So it's always better to have a minimum of 2 nights, and if you can, have 3 nights.
yeah, I totally agree with you. I had a discussion with one client. He wanted to go for a 1 night safari. I said, you will drive a lot. Even if you will take the small plane to go to the park, it also take you time, because you need to go
Yeah.
to the airport, back to the plane, go there, take a car, and
Yeah.
take a lot. So it's like half day for drive for one way. So 2 nights it's for
Yeah.
that you will have the whole day to see the animals and spend only 1 day in the park. So if you will take 2 nights there.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even as you say, even if it takes time. So it's a 4.5 hour drive to get to the Mara, and it's only a 45-minute flight. But as you say, it will take you half an hour to drive from your hotel to the airport. You have to check in 45 minutes beforehand. So it still ends up taking you 2.5, 3 hours, even if you fly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's great.
I think I asked you almost all question, but maybe you would like to mention about something else.
I guess one of the things that I would like to say, and it's specific to this time, because this has been a very strange year, is Kenya is open to international travel. International flights are coming in and out. We have had a very low incidence of the coronavirus. It's been very mild here. We have a few rules. You're asked if you're walking around in a public place to wear a mask, but if you're sitting down like I am now, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're going indoors to a supermarket or something, then we take a temperature. But other than that, life is very normal. It's very safe. And it's a nice place to come and be a little bit more normal after a very strange year full of lots of challenges.
Yeah, and I can assure everybody, somebody will come first time to Kenya, the person wants to come back. Even if I've been there twice, I was thinking to go this year also for some short trips in September.
Yeah.
At the beginning of September. Yeah.
I would say on average, over 50% of our guests come back within 2 or 3 years. It becomes very addictive here. You make friends and there's just so much to see.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Okay, Melinda, we have less than 1 hour, so it was like a fast meeting. But you said that you are quite.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be involved. Thank you everybody for signing in, and it's been a pleasure actually getting to know you.
Thank you very much. We will be for sure in touch, and thank you that you agree to join to our project. And I hope that after our meeting, people want to go to Kenya, even now because it's open, as you say.
Great. Well, we look forward to having you here, and take care of yourselves.
Take care. Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Kochani, dzisiaj nam się udało szybciej skończyć spotkanie. Jakby szybko opowiedziałyśmy Wam o Kenii, która jest naprawdę wspaniałym miejscem na ziemi i zdecydowanie Wam polecam wybrać się do tego kraju i uwierzcie mi, bo jak pojedziecie raz, będziecie chcieli tam wracać. Kenia jest bardzo głęboko i w moim sercu i jakby w całej firmie gdzieś tam myślimy o tym, że Kenia jest bardzo takim kierunkiem, który polecamy Wam. Jak się okazuje, możecie tam lecieć przez cały rok praktycznie, oprócz kwietnia, maja, gdzie może trochę padać. Natomiast reszta roku jest zdecydowanie rekomendowana po to, żeby pojechać do Kenii. Uwierzcie mi, znajdziecie tam miejsca nawet na kilka wyjazdów. Safari jest oczywiście czymś takim must see, bo to jest trochę tak, jakbyście pojechali do Paryża i nie zobaczyli wieży Eiffla, więc jadąc do Kenii, no musicie po prostu pojechać na safari, nie ma innej opcji. Serdecznie Wam polecam Masai Mara, które jest no bardzo dużym parkiem, ale z ogromnymi sawannami, z ogromną przestrzenią, zobaczycie tam bardzo dużo zwierząt i faktycznie okres tej wielkiej migracji, która jest od początku czasem czerwca, lipca do końca września, to jest super okres i polecam Wam, żeby zostać na noc w lodży, która jest blisko rzeki Mara, dlatego że zwierzęta z samego rana przekraczają tą rzekę, przechodząc z parku Serengeti do Mary, i możecie naprawdę zaobserwować bardzo ciekawe zjawiska, kiedy no, setki tysięcy gnu przekraczając rzekę muszą uważać na to, żeby krokodyle, które są w tej rzece, po prostu ich nie zjadły. Jest to niesamowite zjawisko i zapewniam Was, że będziecie po prostu zachwyceni. I oczywiście Mara to nie jest jedynym parkiem, bo Kenia ma bardzo dużo parków. Jeżeli potrzebujecie jakiegoś bliższego kontaktu z naturą, to znamy też miejsca, gdzie wśród zwierząt, wśród dzikich zwierząt możecie na przykład pojeździć konno i obserwować z takiej perspektywy zwierzęta naprawdę z bardzo bliskiej odległości, oczywiście zachowując wszelkie standardy bezpieczeństwa, bo nie idziecie sami, a z przewodnikiem, który wie, w jaki sposób się zachować i gdzie możecie być. I południe Kenii. Powiem szczerze, że plaże południa Kenii są naprawdę przepiękne. Musicie je zobaczyć i to powiem szczerze też, że to są jedne z moich ulubionych plaż w ogóle z tych wszystkich, które do tej pory widziałam. Także w zasadzie to samo, co powiedziała Melinda. Safari plus wypoczynek na południu i serdecznie Wam polecam Kenię. Dziękuję za Wasz udział w dzisiejszych wirtualnych podróżach. Do zobaczenia następnym razem. Tradycyjnie wkrótce opublikujemy kolejny termin spotkania, kolejny kierunek i będziemy na Was czekać. Dzięki jeszcze raz. Miłego dnia.